I'm going to show you how a GraFx bitmap works and how you can use it to control a single accent pixel and how you can step it up to create a full-blown blade style ignition. Let's go. So what is GraFx? And the manual actually states this pretty well. Going on to the plektorwebs.com website, you can find the manual under Manuals and Support, Crystal Focus Saber Core V10, and then take the latest version. And here it states that the GraFx Blade FX plays a color BMP file line by line on the LED strip. And what does this mean? So if we take a look at a GraFx bitmap that I created earlier, this one is set up to control 29 accent pixels. It will play each line on the accent pixels or blade pixels one by one. Now let's take a look at a specific pixel blade. So if we zoom in and we have these couple of lines and we have these pixels. Now if we hold these pixels against this pixel blade strip, then you will see this is the first pixel on your blade. This is the second pixel on your blade, third pixel on your blade, and so on. And in the GraFx bitmap, you will see this is the first pixel on your blade, this is the second pixel on your blade, the third, and so on. So this line will be played on your LED strip. Please remind me to call this an LED strip and not a LED strip. Thank you, Mark. So in the first stage, the first pixel will be red. In the second stage, it will be red, in the third, in the fourth, and so on. But the second pixel, so this one, will be blue. Third one will be white. And in the second stage, this pixel will be black. Now, if we zoom into this GraFx bitmap, I think we can simulate what GraFx does. So this is the first line, and after that it will play the second line, then the third line, and so on. So if we move this up at a specific pace, you will see the animation that these accent pixels will show. So let's show this one more time. And you can see that this white part will have an upwards motion. Let's show this for a single accent pixel. So for a single accent pixel, you will only need this first column. And with this column, you can control the accent pixel over time. Now, I've created a rather small and rather simple bitmap file, which only has two lines. It has one column, so it will control only one pixel, and it has two stages, one black and one red. So when we show this on the blade, on the first stage it will be black, and on the second stage this will be red. Now, I've created a simulator on the crystalfocus.net website. If you can't find it, you need to log in at the top right corner, but after that you can find it over here. And I've created this accent pixel simulator which can help demonstrate what GraFx does. So for the first step, I only have one accent pixel, and let me load up this tiny bitmap that I created for step 1. That's the bitmap with only two stages. It's a black stage and it's a red stage. Now let me show this, slow this down, and what you can see is over time it will go from red to black and to red once more. So a GraFx bitmap, especially in the idle stage, can repeat itself over and over again. Of course, when you're creating a bitmap for a pre-on or a power-on, it will not repeat itself. and you have specific parameters to control whether or not this bitmap should repeat itself. But that's for another time. So this is the most simple bitmap that we can create. One black stage, one white stage for one accent pixel. Now, if we take a look at another bitmap that we can create, that's the step 2 and it's tiny. Let's zoom in. I've added some more lines. So this one accent pixel will now go through 4 stages in total. One black, red, blue and green. So if we load this up in the simulator, and let's go to stage number 2, or step number 2. If we load this up, you will see it will go through 4 changes in total. Now, let's take the next step and load up the next bitmap. And the next bitmap, that's step number 3, has even more rows in it. But now I've colored multiple rows with the same color. So first playing this line, then this line, then this line, and so on. So this will slow down the animation and show a green to red to blue change on this accent pixel. So let's load this up. And here we can see the animation has slowed down because it has to play multiple lines of green, multiple lines of red and multiple lines of blue. So visually this looks like the animation has slowed down. Now let's take the next bitmap. So that's step 4. If we take a look at this one, this has 2 columns. And each column has about the same animation that we showed just now, but this will control 2 pixels. That can be 2 accent pixels, or it can be 2 pixels in your main blade. So let's load this up, and I've got a step next to this one. So now it's still showing the GraFx bitmap from the previous stage, and this is the same thing that will happen on your CFX. If your bitmap does not have the same amount of columns as you have pixels in your accents or pixels in your main blade, then the remaining pixels will remain black. So let's load up this new bitmap which has 2 columns. That's step 4. Load this up. And now you will see that we are controlling 2 pixels because this GraFx bitmap has 2 columns. And it goes from blue-green to red-blue to green-red. So, looking nice. Now, in the next step, we can add even more. So that's step number 5. And here I've added a bit more fun into the animation. So it goes from red-green to green-red, which could actually be used for some 2 nice accent pixels, maybe on a loop hilt. Let's load this up. And here we have it. So for 2 accent pixels we can already very easily create some fun animations. And let's move on to having some more accent pixels available. So let's move on to step number 6. And here we have a GraFx bitmap for 1, 2, 3 pixels, accent pixels or main blade pixels. and we've got several lines that will create a fun animation. So if I showed you this, then first this line will be played, then this line will be played, then this line will be played, and on the third line, the third pixel on your strip or on your wiring will be white, and before that 2 times it will be black. So let's load this up into the simulator, and we're going to need 3 pixels. Now again, showing the old GraFx bitmap, it will not control the third pixel. We need to load up this new step, and that's I believe step 6. So this is already looking like some sort of an animation. We've got a very quick upwards motion and some white flashes, and we see that in this bitmap. Again, first playing the first line, first pixel is white, then the second line, second pixel is white, and then the third line, third pixel is white. So, looking nice. If we move on to the next step, which is step number 7, then I've actually done the same trick as before. So I made multiple lines of the same pixel white, slowing down the animation, but the animation itself is quite the same. So let's load this up. Step number 7. And here you see it's the same animation, but it has been slowed down. Upwards motion and then some white flashes. And again, first playing this part, then this part, then this part, repeating itself, and then having 2 times that all the LEDs are flashing white. Moving upwards, and then the flashing. So we can build on this concept and keep adding more pixels and more pixels and more pixels. So let's take a look at the next step. Step number 8. What I've done over here is I've gone from completely red and fading it to completely black and fading it back to completely red. So because the GraFx bitmap repeats itself, when you end over here, it will start over here. So if you make this completely black and this completely red, you will get this very harsh transfer from black to red. But you can make it seamless by making this pixel the exact same color as this pixel, because it will loop. And I've done the fading for the first and the third pixel the same, and the middle one I inverted. So let's load this up and show what it looks like. So here it will show what fading does in your bitmap, because I slowly go from completely red and just tone it down little by little, tone it down until I hit black, and then go back and tone it up until I hit completely red for the first pixel. It will show this nice pulse effect. So this is how you can create a nice pulse effect, and also use that for other effects, like something moving up the blade smoothly. Then you can pulse the first pixel, pulse the second pixel, pulse the third pixel at the exact right time, and you will see a smooth transfer from the bottom of your blade to the top of the blade, which I will show you later on. So you don't have to use the quick transfers from completely red to completely black, or from one color to another color. You can use this fade effect to slowly transfer from one color to another color. So that's the fading part. Next step, that's step 9. And this one shows the fading but with the upwards motion that I talked about. So this isn't a straight line, so this pixel, and this pixel, and then over again, but the pixels surrounding this line that I've drawn also are fading in with a color, and this will give a very nice effect. Let me show you. So this is what you can do with fading. This will smoothen your animation and make it look more natural with something that's moving upwards, like energy moving upwards through your pixels. Fading, that's a neat trick to remember. Going on to the next step, step 10. Let's add some more pixels, but doing exactly the same. So again, we're using this fading trick, but we're going to control more pixels. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pixels that we need for this animation. So this could be actually something that you can show on your accent LED strip. Step 10. Here I'm showing the 10 pixels. Now with the old bitmap loaded, we will only control the first 3. So let me load up the new GraFx bitmap. That's step 10. And now you will see that we're controlling all 10 pixels. For 10 it will most likely be an accent LED strip. Looking nice with the fading. Now, if we go on to the next step, step 11. If I have a step 11. So, what I've done over here is exactly the same thing as step 10, but now instead of the black background, I've turned it all into a red background. So this could be during an ignited blade and showing this on your accent LED strip. Let's load this into the simulator. And here it is. This could be a tiny blade with some white energy beams moving upwards in the blade. So if you take a look at it like this, this is already a very tiny blade style that we can create fairly easily. Just some white pixels moving upwards as you go further into the right of the bitmap and onto the top. Moving on to the next step, that is step 12, I think. Step 12. If we turn it up a notch and instead of having 10 accent pixels with some whites moving to the right top, let's now add enough pixels to control an entire blade. And usually pixel blades have about 117 or more pixels. So we need to have 117 columns, one column for each pixel that you want to control, and enough lines so the animation will have a specific runtime. Let's show this on the simulator, and for this we can use a regular blade. Now let's first show this tiny blade style that we created on a regular blade. It will look like this. And we can speed it up a bit. So that already looks pretty smooth, and because we're speeding up the animation quite a lot, you can make it smoother and smoother and slow it down by repeating the same lines like I shown earlier. So this is the animation, how it will look like on your main blade. So now let's have a look at the animation with a GraFx bitmap that has enough columns in it to control all the pixels in your blade. So that's this step. Now, this looks like a regular stock CFX ignition with the white part at the top moving upwards. So this is already a very good start of creating your first GraFx ignition. Just like this, make an entire black bitmap, then add a line like this, moving to the from the left bottom to the top right corner, and coloring in everything behind the line moving upwards. So that's this part. And if you load this onto your CFX and give it the right name and set up your blade profile to use a GraFx power on, then you will see this on your CFX, which is already kind of nice. Now, knowing this, we can even turn it up a notch and create another ignition. That's step number 13. So look at this, and now if you can read it correctly, moving upwards is your timeline. So at the first stage, every pixel will be black. At the second stage, every pixel will be white. Third and fourth, everything black. Fifth, everything white. Knowing that each line will only be played for a specific amount of milliseconds, so it's very short, possibly very short, you will see that these two white lines will give two white flashes over the entire blade. After that, you will see a white part moving upwards on the blade, and after the white part you will see the blade coloring in red, and then you will see a white part moving down the blade and moving up the blade once more, and after that this ignition is done. So let me show you this on the simulator. I will slow it down a bit, and that's the next step, step 13. I've slowed it down. Let me slow it down even more. So first you will get two white flashes, then a white moving up the blade with red coloring. After that the red will remain, but you will see a white line moving down and moving up the blade once more. The flashes, the white moving up and down and up once more. So this is how you can create a full-blown blade style ignition. Adding enough columns to control each pixel inside your blade, and adding enough lines to create the animation that you actually want. And this concept is exactly the same for just a couple of accent pixels. In this example, it's just one accent pixel, so you only need one column. And you will need at least two stages to show a difference, going from black to red. Now you can make a pixel blink from black to red. Moving on to a lot of pixels that you want to control. This is 117 pixels if I'm not mistaken, yes. 117 pixels and 40 lines, which will play for a specific amount of millisecond per line. And if you speed that up a lot, it will look like this. So this could be the first ignition that you create. I hope this explains the basics of the GraFx engine, and you can get started just simply by playing with any of these bitmap editors. And personally, I'm using Photoshop to do this, but I've recently come across GIMP, and GIMP is free, which saves another license, and it also offers the option to create layers, and that is something I do a lot using Photoshop, and layers gives me the possibility to create and add specific parts of the animation on specific lines, and I'll be able to correct them and hide them later on, which is just it makes your life really easy to create these kinds of graphics animations. I hope this clarifies the GraFx engine a bit. I will go into actually putting this onto your lightsaber and configuring and setting up the blade styles together with this in some other videos. Hope this helps. Thank you.